Hello again, everyone. This is another response video to Matt Williamson, who has a channel called Pop Goes the 60s. He recently made a video about Paul McCartney and the two types of Paul McCartney fans that there are, and how they don't always like each other very much. And it was a good video, and I thought it was kind of respectable, and I liked the way he went about his subject, and he talked about me a little bit in there and had some clips of me in there from another video I made. And we're going through like a tag kind of thing right now, I guess. But although I liked the video, there were some errors in there, if I may say, and things I want to clear up. And I always wonder how that happens when people have watched videos and they misread things or misquote things. So I'm just going to get into that. But before I do, near the end of Matt's video, he was talking about a really crazy commenter that he has. It was very nasty and said some really uncalled for things against Matt's late wife who passed away. And I want to say that I've given my condolences. Maybe Matt didn't hear them when I was on a live stream a couple of times and people told me, and I gave my public condolences, but I want to do so here in the video. My condolences to you, Matt, on the loss of your wife, and it is completely unacceptable and uncalled for when somebody resorts to those depths, no matter how much you disagree. Okay, so I want to tell you that. Now, let's see. When I made my video, when I was talking about the video you had made, I generally supported you in it. I don't know if you realize that. You were talking about, this was the video called Matt Strikes Back. This was about when you had your opinions, and they were just your opinions of your favorites. It's just an opinion, which cannot be right or wrong, just your opinion. And not just you, but you took a survey of people's favorite, and that's the key word, favorite Beatles songs, and it turned out that some McCartney fans were kind of perturbed because John Lennon apparently got the most picks for people's favorites, and that's something that nobody should get bent out of shape about, regardless of whether it's Paul or John. I'm not saying I would love it if it was mostly Paul either, but I'm just saying that some people got really crazy about that. But I did support you in that. I think that's wrong. I think you can't help the way a survey turns out. And this is not the best. This is just what you considered to be favorites, or the people who voted considered to be favorites. There's a difference between favorites and technically the best pieces of work, you know? So I want to say, when you made that video and you talked about the solo music, you said something that a lot of people that I've talked to have misconstrued. You either implied something or we inferred something. You said you don't listen to really Paul McCartney or George Harrison past 1981. When you said that, and I want to make it clear, folks, it's only natural that we would think, and I thought, that that meant you never even give them a try. You just shut the door after 1981. But in your recent video, the one about the two types of McCartney fans, you clarified that, yes, of course, you've listened to other music. You said you liked George Harrison's Cloud 9 album in '87. You liked his Brainwashed album, although after a while you felt it was dated and you kind of didn't think the same later, but you gave him a try. Well, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. You know, that would have changed a lot had I known that. I didn't realize. I mean, I guess in the back of my mind, I gave you the benefit of the doubt because you're well-rounded with music, that I figured that you can't tell me the guy hasn't at least heard some of this music after 1981. So that's a whole nother thing. I'm not, and by going with that, people are going to react to that, saying, he was saying things like, how are we missing out on anything? You also quoted in your video, you said, how are we missing out on anything when we're listening to music that we like, even if we don't listen to it, to all the solo music? Well, when I said you're missing out, I was specifically talking about if anybody out there closes their mind off to not listening to any solo music at all, or any solo music after a given year. That year could be any year, whatever, or period, whatever. If you've never even tried it because you think it can't possibly be any good, that's what I meant specifically when I said you're missing out. You're missing out on a lot of potentially good songs that you might like and didn't know you liked if you'd give every single album a chance, excuse me. And I'm like, I got notes here and I got people upstairs walking around, so it's not easy to concentrate. Anyway, giving them a chance. So that's a totally different thing. When I said you're missing out, I'm talking about missing out for people that won't even give the albums one listen. How are you going to know? Because you mentioned, Paul, that you did listen to Flaming Pie and you thought it was a really good album, and you pointed out what I had said too, that the song Some Days, for example, and also Little Willow and Calico Skies, are really good McCartney songs. You're missing some nuggets if you don't listen. Well, this doesn't apply to you, Matt, because you made it clear in your uh, follow-up video that you do in fact listen. You have listened, you just choose not to listen to it all the time anymore. It's not your favorite wheelhouse. That's a whole different story. Okay, but I want to correct one other thing. I also said in my previous video on this, I said that if it's a group that I'm invested in, I want to hear everything by them. Okay, for example, I said like Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I love Joan Jett, so therefore I went back to her old Runaways music and I listened to everything Joan Jett ever did because I'm interested, just like I'm interested in the four Beatles, so I kind of want to hear everything by all the four members of the Beatles. That's what I meant by that. And then you brought up the Zombies, which I had brought into the discussion. You said something like, and I'm paraphrasing, Joe says he likes the early Zombies, but he didn't like the later Zombies. No, that's not what I said. What I said, and you can see the video, is the Zombies are an example of a group that I don't care about. You see, when it comes to the Zombies, unlike Joan Jett, or unlike Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I was saying Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I like them so much that I'll listen to everything. And I said I'll get to some of their latest stuff because I'm interested in Tom Petty. But when it comes to the Zombies, I'm just interested in what I said. She's Not There, Tell Her No, and Time of the Season. 3 songs done. I don't have any interest in hearing Odyssey and Oracle, anything really in full by them. It has to do with, for me personally, what bands or artists, single artists that I'm interested in general. I'll try to hear everything in that case. And that's why I was a little confused that some people who love John, Paul, George, and Ringo aren't at least curious to try every one of their albums and then see if you don't like it. If you try them and don't like them, at least you tried them. Now, one other thing, couple other things we'll get to real quick. I'm not going to make this too long a video. Somebody in your comments, Matt, said that, I, Joe Mayo, am a, quote, uncritical fan, whereas Matt Williamson is a critical fan. Well, this person either hasn't watched me for any length of time or is just lying, because anybody who watches my channel knows that I get a lot of grief from people, and it's okay, you can air your grief, when I dare to criticize Paul McCartney, or whether it's George Harrison, or whether it's John or Ringo, or the Beatles in general. I'm the type of fan who's a fan, not a sycophant. And I pride myself, and I've always prided myself, on being a person who's not afraid to criticize. I've had people really going at me because I gave you my honest opinion of the recent Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary vocal performance from Paul. I thought it was bad, and I said so. I didn't just sit here and act uncritical. Remember the Driving Rain album, my nickname? What I think of Driving Rain? I've called it Thriving Pain. Recently, I've come to enjoy the record a little more, but for years and years, I called Driving Rain Thriving Pain. And how about this little gem of a video years ago? This was during my little review that I did for the album Press to Play. I hate this album. Hate. But I just don't like this record, and that's what I think it is, okay? Now, this album, I just can't take it. We're all allowed our moments. But don't fear, folks. I still have a pristine copy of this album for my completist collection with the sticker on it, original label. So, you remember that? So let's not say that I'm an uncritical fan and everything I have to say is great by Paul or the Beatles. I don't do that. I get just as much criticism from people that say that I love the Beatles too much unconditionally, and all 4 of them, as I do from people who say that I'm not willing to criticize them, or I criticize them too much. You know, I get pulled both ways. You criticize them too much for a fan. What kind of fan are you? You don't criticize them enough. You praise them all the time. What kind of fan are you? Nonsense. It's always in the middle for me. I'll call it like I see it. And I've always done that, and I'll continue to. So, the title of this video I had called, There Are Three Kinds of Paul McCartney Fans. And here I'll go with my opinion. The first type of McCartney fan is an uber McCartney maniac, to the point where they will not criticize Paul McCartney for anything. That's not me. They praise everything he does. They pretend that everything that he has created is a gem. At the very least, worst, what they would do is, if they know that Paul's done something that's not too terrific, maybe they just won't talk about it. Out of sight, out of mind. They just won't mention it. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. That's the first type of McCartney fan, of which I'm not like that. The man can do no wrong. Everything he touches turns to gold. There's no criticizing our Paulie. That's not me. Second type of fan is the type of fan I am. That's a fan who loves Paul McCartney. In some ways, I am an Uber fan. I am an Uber fan. I mean, look around the room. I'm an Uber fan, but I'm not a sycophant. And I'm a person who listened to all Paul's music from the beginning all the way till whatever his new album is going to be this year, or maybe next year. He's coming out with a new album. And I will listen to everything, and I will criticize what I don't like, and I'll praise to high heavens what I do like. I'm fair across the board. That's the second kind of fan that I am. And the third type of fan is the type of fan, and they're out there. I thought Matt Williamson was one, but apparently he clarified that he's not like this. But there is a third type of fan who picks a year in their mind and refuses to go beyond that barrier. For some people, it's the breakup of the Beatles. They don't want to hear any solo music. They don't care. Oh, they may come across a solo song on the radio when they don't have a choice. But if they have a choice, they're not going to listen to anything in the solo Beatles because they don't care. Then there's people who pick the year for, we'll use Paul McCartney again. For Paul McCartney, they have a cutoff, Band on the Run. Paul's never done anything good except Band on the Run. After that, I'm not even going to listen. Now remember, I'm not talking about people like me who have listened and have made a judgment. I'm talking about people who refuse to have any interest or even listen at all, and just say it without knowing. Some people will make that cutoff year of Venus and Mars in 75. Some people will go as far as saying 1980. After John died, I don't listen to Paul. I don't care about anything Paul's ever done after that. He's done nothing good. Then there are people that go to Tug of War in 1982. 1982's Tug of War was a great album. After that, I haven't listened, and it's been downhill ever since. Ever since he did Michael Jackson and Pipes of Peace, which, by the way, Matt and everybody listening, Pipes of Peace is one of my least favorite Paul albums. It's near the bottom. I don't think Pipes of Peace is a very good album. It's okay. So there you go again with the critical. All right. So some people, after Michael Jackson, they never listen to Paul again. They refuse to play a Paul McCartney record because they remember the Michael Jackson thing. Or maybe Give My Regards to Broad Street. After watching Give My Regards to Broad Street, they won't listen to another thing. Some people actually go as far as Flaming Pie or Chaos and Creation in the Backyard in 2005, and they'll say, I liked Flaming Pie, or I liked Chaos and Creation, but I haven't listened to anything ever since. After that, he lost it. I'll never listen to anything else by Paul after that because he's done at those points. Not true. Not true, and that's where I'm saying again, last time, if you don't listen, how would you know? If you're somebody that is listening and has listened sporadically, therefore you know you don't care for it, a whole horse of another color. Thank you, and there's a link below to Matt's channel.